I say all that to explain that, like, this realization I had, which I've had this realization multiple times, but it's a refresher and a constant refresher that, like, hey, I'm wanting to talk about something that I kind of had a realization about in my life as I'm going through in my small group, reading this book called The Prodigal God by Timothy Keller. Great book. He's really diving into the story of the prodigal son, the parable that Jesus tells, and he describes the two characters, obviously three characters, the father, the younger brother, and the older brother, but he really dives into, at least so far, the younger brother and the older brother, and what they're going through and how really they're kind of doing the same thing in essence. So the younger brother, he basically goes and tells his father, hey, give me what's mine. I want nothing to do with you. I'm leaving. So essentially saying to his father, you're dead. I just want things from you. I don't actually want a relationship with you. I want what you have to offer me. So he takes his stuff. The father gives it to him, which culturally would have been crazy to do. It's really a sign of love, as Timothy Keller is pointing out. And as we know, the story comes around to the younger brother finds himself in a horrible situation, ends up coming back to his father and basically making a story in his head of, I'm going to plead and beg to just let me be one of your servants. Not even worthy of, like, being back in the family, but I will be your servant and you can pay me an hourly wage. So as he's coming back and he's preparing the speech in his head, before he can even get the speech out, his father tells him, hey, essentially the father is showing, he's running to him, which culturally in the patriarchy, men of status don't run. So he's showing his love towards his son, meets him out there, doesn't wait for his son to come to him, but he runs to his son. And the father obviously is God, showing that God's love is always running after us. The invitation is always there. But we have to want that relationship with the Father again. But he's inviting you into the house. He throws a feast, which is an invitation into the house. And whenever he throws this feast for the younger brother, it's a celebration, which also culturally would be like, this guy's crazy. His son of his just disowned him and embarrassed him, and yet he's celebrating his return. So again, it's crazy that he's doing that. And this is where I think it gets interesting. The older brother is mad that his younger brother has returned. And he's not mad about it being his younger brother. He's not mad necessarily about the younger brother being back, but he uses the fact that his younger brother is back to be mad at his father. He's not actually mad at the younger brother. He's mad at his father for saying, why are you celebrating the younger brother whenever I've done everything you've asked me and you haven't even given me a goat to celebrate with my friends, yet you give him the best calf we have to celebrate him coming back after he has essentially embarrassed you in front of the whole village or community per se. And so I never really thought about the younger brother. I never really thought about the older brother. I always thought, yeah, the older brother's in the right. Like the older brother, yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. He is doing all the right things. I kind of feel bad for him. Like he has a right to be mad. But Timothy Keller points out that what's going on is the older brother has the exact same posture as the younger brother. The older brother is looking at the father as, I only want something from you as well. Because the younger brother coming back, that means that the older brother is losing now part of his inheritance again, because as he's reaccepting the son, as the father's reaccepting the younger brother, the older brother then loses another third of his inheritance, because in that time it would have been the younger brother gets 1/3 and the older brother gets 2/3 in this scenario. So he's now losing a third of those 2/3 because the first third was already lost whenever the younger brother went and squandered it. So you look at the older brother and you're like, yeah, I'd be pissed too. Like, that sucks. But at the end of the day, he doesn't love his father either for what his father, like, he doesn't love his father for it being his father. He loves his father again for the inheritance, for what can I get from you? I've done everything right, so everything should go my way. And I think that's a way that we look at God oftentimes is, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I'm holding up my end of the bargain. Whether that's I'm going to school and doing my work, or I am working my job, or if you got kids, like I'm being a good parent, yet I still find myself struggle. And we're looking at God for like, hey, what can you do for me? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Why are you not holding up your end of the bargain? And the message here is that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing because you're so focused on your self-serving works instead of focusing on God and the relationship with Him. I mean, the best thing God could do for you is show you His love, is to be in His presence. And yet we look at it in materialistic ways or self-serving ways, not looking at it, for God's will. Like, what does He want for me? And then once I want what He wants for me, that's the best thing He can do for me. So I think it's a shift in focus. But we're talking about the older brother and the younger brother in my small group. And the younger brother, one of the guys in my small group said the younger brother represents like shame and guilt because he ran away and he squanders everything. And so he has this shame and guilt of returning. He was putting it off to return, but he was so down bad that he just had to, it was either that or starve to death. So he goes to his father, even though he's feeling shameful and guilty of what he's done, and his father accepts him with open arms. And he said that the older brother, this is the same guy in my small group, says that the older brother represents pride and how, like, I've done all the right things. And side note, just so you know, Jesus is telling this parable to the Pharisees. So this parable is really calling the Pharisees the older brother. That's not where I'm going with this video. I just had a different thought while I was doing that. But I just wanted to explain that the older brothers are the religious elite, people who nod or wag their finger at people whenever, like, I do all these things right. I go to church every Sunday. I know every word, like all the things that you would think are religious, but not actually having that relationship with God. They're doing it for pride, to look down on other people, to look down on the younger brother. And Jesus is saying that the younger brother are the Gentiles or the regular Jewish people of that time who they may mess up, they may do the wrong thing, but then they go and accept the invitation of God to join Him at the feast. Whereas the story ends with the older brother getting an invitation from the father to go back inside, but he chooses not. Well, the story ends, so we don't know what he chooses. But Jesus leaves it open-ended because I think the choice is really like to the Pharisees saying, hey, are you going to accept the invitation or are you not? That's why it's open-ended. But I'm taking it in a different direction because, as I was saying, this guy in my small group said that the older brother represents pride. And I had this idea in my head of like, I kind of resonate with the older brother. I resonate with the older brother, not because I do everything right, but because I know that I should be doing everything right. Like the younger brother, he goes and just squanders it. He didn't know, like, it wasn't like he was like, oh, I love you, Father, and I'm going to go do this. So it was like, I hate you, Father, I'm leaving. So it wasn't this like, I love you and I still do wrong. And that's where I find myself as the older brother is like, I love God, or in this, to use the parable, I love the Father, but yet I do the wrong things, though I know the right things to do. So it's not that I'm the older brother in this I do everything right kind of way, but the older brother and I know everything that I'm supposed to be doing right, and yet I don't do those things. And yet I say that I love you, Father, but if I truly love the Father, then wouldn't I then and go do those things? So I feel the shame and guilt that this guy in my small group was talking about the younger brother feels, but I feel that in an older brother type of way because I'm trying to love God, and yet I do all the wrong things, and that brings me shame and guilt in my walk with God, which then leads me further and further away from Him. So I guess I'm not the younger brother or the older brother, but kind of a hybrid of the two. And so sorry, I say all that to explain that, like, this realization I had, which I've had this realization multiple times, but it's a refresher and a constant refresher that, like, I'm so caught up on focusing on what I should be doing right, um, that I say I love God, but yet I don't go do these things. But if I did love God, I would do those things. So the point I'm making is that I just need to focus on God. I just need to focus on my relationship with Him, and everything is downstream from that. But if I continue to focus on, I have to read the Bible for 1 hour every single day or else I don't love God, well, I'm going to fail. That's the law. Like, that's what the law was to show you how inadequate you are. So I don't know why I place these parameters on my relationship with God. I don't love God unless I pray every single day this week. I don't love God unless I go on a run every day and work on my health. Like, whatever it may be, I'm putting parameters on, like, I have to be this version of myself for God to accept me. And what's really going on is God is saying, come as you are. Whether you spat in my face or whether you did everything right, it doesn't matter. I just want to have a relationship with you. It's not about what you did or what you didn't do. It's about, do you love me? And I think that's been such a big struggle for me in my life is loving God. You know, as hard as bad as that sounds, it's just to pursue that relationship as an actual, like, personal relationship, this feeling, or maybe not even a feeling, but this connection that I have to God, like pursuing that rather than pursuing all the ways that I think I'm serving Him. Like, the best thing I could do for my relationship with God is to just get to know Him. And that's easier said than done, because the things that I'm saying, oh, well, I need to go read my Bible every single day to have a relationship with Him, those things actually do help me grow closer to God. So it's this weird dichotomy where the things that I'm putting all the pressure on do help me get closer to God, but the reason I'm doing them is the wrong reason. So I have to be doing it for the right reason, to love God, to grow in my relationship, not to put pressure on myself and box myself in and say my relationship with God only exists if I do these things. Rather, my relationship with God exists, and now I want to do these things. I have a passion for God and my relationship with Him. I want to know Him better. And so I think it's just a shift in posture in my life, which is, you know, it's really hard, but it's just a day by day. Hey, just focus on today. Focus on what I can do for God today and who He is, and stop focusing so much on who I am. And then as my focus is on Him, things in my life will actually tend to start to fix themselves. Not that that will happen because, oh God, prosperity gospel. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying whenever I follow God to the best of my ability, well, I start to do things that are otherwise would look self-serving, but I'm doing it to serve God. But through serving God, I'm actually serving myself. So I know that was a lot and maybe hard to follow, but I think the moral of the story is just keep your eyes fixed on Jesus and who He is, and let Him lead you where He wants to take you. Don't, it's not your will be done, it's His will be done. All right, guys.